Hello and welcome back to Catch and Cook California. I'm Kevin. This is video number 2 in my new series, Introduction to Freediving and Spearfishing California. I've been diving California for 27 years. I started out when I was 11 years old, and this series I'm super excited about because I get to teach you the ins and outs just the way that I learned. So today we are going out with the least expensive 3-prong pole spear that you can find on Amazon. This is pretty much exactly like the 3-prong pole spear I started out with, and I already know that these work really well. Today I'm going to be joined by my good buddy Des. This is his first dive where he will be properly weighted, so I'm hoping today is his first day actually spearfishing. And today we're going to be pursuing nearshore rockfish. Let's go. Before we get started, these pole spears come to your doorstep ready to rock with one exception. So I want to show you what you need to do to get this ready to actually take out spearfishing.
Get yourself some Loctite or some kind of a super glue and make sure that you coat the threads of the main shaft of your pole spear so that when you put that tip on, it locks in place and stays in place. I see a lot of rookie divers go out that don't do this. They hit one fish, that fish starts spinning around, and they lose their tip. Next thing you're going to need to do is put on the bungee on the back. Just feed that string through and then feed the bungee through the loop, pull it tight, and you're ready to go.
Let's jump in the water and try to get some nearshore rockfish.
So as soon as we hit the water, we could tell that it was gin clear. I mean, really great visibility. But we were over sand, so we had to swim out a ways and got to the kelp, and I roped my board off to the kelp so that I could forget about it and knew it was secure. Next, I wanted to make sure Des was feeling comfortable. We made sure he was properly weighted, and after talking it over, I could tell that he was feeling just fine because he was already getting down 12-14 feet in the first few minutes. So I got my pole spear ready and started making some drops. I always clear my ears at the surface, and then I clear my ears every 3 feet down on the way down. That way my ears are totally clear by the time I get to the bottom, and it feels just like I'm hanging out right now. When you're loading your pole spear, giving it a little twist actually helps accuracy, because when you release the pole spear, it actually causes the projectile to rifle through the water, kind of like throwing a spiral with a football. So here you can see I've dropped down to the bottom. I'm cruising along a little crack here, and I spy a rockfish way back in the kelp underneath this rock. And when I see it, I realize that it is the species I'm targeting, and they're very territorial, so I've got some time and I can make some movement. It's not that big a deal. So I load up and I approach, and I kind of take my time lining up and get my shot. This is a black and yellow rockfish. This is one of the first species I would recommend as you're kind of transitioning from perch into rockfish because they're so territorial. They really just kind of hang out and let you get close. But they're a very good eating fish. You'll also notice that I'm holding the opposite end of the spear, so the spear tip on the other side of the fish, and that's to keep it pinned. So I brained the fish, swam over to Des to show him, and he already had his first fish.
Oh yeah, man. Oh, yeah. That's a pile perch too. That's one of the better eating perch, man. You can go in from the top straight through there, but make sure you're grabbing your spear on the opposite side of the fish to pin it.
Oh yeah.
Bam! First fish.
That was the first one I went after too here.
Hell yeah, dude.
Here's Des again 5 minutes later, this time with a striped perch. A lot of times when I'm hanging out on the surface, I'll either be laying there or I tread water using my long blades. We'll talk more about fins in a future video. And here's Des with yet again another perch. So now I can see Des is super comfortable. I take another breath and drop down because I want to walk you through how to get near shore rockfish. So again, I'm dropping down. Nothing about this is about speed. It's about taking your time. You don't want to speed, because when you speed around, kick as fast as you can to the bottom, you accelerate your heart rate. That burns up your oxygen and kills your bottom time. Here's another black and yellow, again back in a crack under an overhang, and you can see I got him. The spear tip didn't go quite through because it went into his head, but I'm still doing my best to pin that fish onto the spear. And that's really important. It's one of the things I see new spearos really, they kind of ignore. And they'll lose fish. They'll spear it, it looks very secure, and they don't really pay attention to the fish because it's on the end of the spear and at first it's not moving, and then all of a sudden the fish gets a little bit of energy and just gives a kick and it pulls off the spear and swims away. So here I am bumping into Des on the bottom. This is why you don't swim around with your pole spear already loaded. Instead I just hold it in my hand and cruise around, and that way if you're really paying attention to what you're hunting, you don't see somebody else cruising by, you're not going to accidentally spear them. So here is yet another cave and yet another black and yellow. Again, same technique here. I've speared it, I grab the opposite end of the spear, and then I start working my way to the surface to make sure that it's secure. So I know I'm getting a lot of fish on a lot of drops, but that's not really how this was. There were a lot of drops in between. But anyway, this one's a little bit deeper. Dropping down to about 25 feet. I say deeper, but it's in relative terms. This is deep for if you're just starting out. But I saw this boulder, I knew there was a cave underneath it, so I dropped down to see what might be in there. And you can see back in this cave is another pretty sizable black and yellow. So I lined up and got my shot. Now I'm going to show that exact same clip again because I want to teach you about freediving and hunting technique. And everything I'm doing in this clip is pretty deliberate. So again, I'm taking my time, I'm not racing to the bottom, and that way I can conserve my oxygen. I see this big boulder, I know there's going to be a cave under it, I drop down and inspect. When I see that there's a fish, I don't charge it, I let my body settle in behind this boulder so that I can load my pole spear without him seeing. Then I line up and I wait for the swell to pull the fish towards me. Now I get my shot. All of this is very deliberate. I'm paying attention to the swell direction, I'm trying to pay attention to how much my suit has compressed, which allows me to settle in on the bottom. And I'm trying to conserve as much energy as possible. If you don't chase the fish, you're not burning oxygen. And also, if you chase the fish, they tend to turn around and swim away. So it's best if you can let them come to you. Look at how beautiful these black and yellows are. I mean, just such vibrant colors. So again, get it on the board and make sure you lock the clasp on your bag. And I'll show you how to set up that dive board in, I think, the next video. I've already filmed it, just got to edit it. Here's Des. This time he's down probably 20 feet. I mean, this is his first time diving. Look at this. He's looking in the cave now. Not everyone will pick it up like this. This dude's a natural, but like not everybody gets it like that. I certainly was not that way. It took me a lot of practice. So Des has dropped back down to the same cave now that we've marked it, so we're not going to lose our spot. We can make multiple drops on the same spot, and I'll show you how to mark caves in a future video, maybe when we do lingcod or cabezon. But he checked it out, and I dropped down just to see what I could see. And about this time, I realized that the dive light that I had, my batteries had run out. So, yeah, always check your batteries ahead of time. So I looked in the back of this cave. It really got dark, and I couldn't see much. But as I'm backing out, check it out from the top right of the screen. That was a black and yellow. Cruised down to the middle of the cave, and then just hung out. Again, they're super territorial, and that's really good when you're learning how to spear for rockfish, because most rockfish are not like that. They'll swim away. But these guys really kind of hold their ground.
There's a black and yellow right in the mouth of it. Yeah. You could get him, dude.
So Des was working on that cave, so I decided to swim out into the kelp a little bit, maybe 30 feet away, and as I was cruising along the surface, I looked down and I saw another species. We'll do a video specific to these, but because I saw it and it sometimes comes close to shore like this, I decided to pursue it. This is a blue rockfish. Unfortunately, right as I released the spear, he had just kicked, and so it was a pretty poor shot. Anyway, I pulled him off the spear, but held him really tight, and then just decided, because I had just got to the bottom, I had plenty of oxygen, so I just brained him on the bottom. And you got to be very careful when you're doing this. Obviously, it's above my thigh. I've been doing this my whole life, so, you know, I guess when you're starting, probably don't do that. But I've been doing this long enough that I know how deep to plunge that blade to get to the brain and subdue the fish. And I like to brain my fish when I'm in the water just so that they're not suffering. So I swim over to show Dez, and sure enough, he's got his first rockfish.
First rockfish. That's awesome, man.
So I decided to breathe up and take another drop. And again, just clearing my ears the whole way, taking my time. Just everything about this is about being calm and really conserving your oxygen. And to do that, you got to keep your heart rate slow. You're not racing. You're just taking it easy. I hope you see the general trend here. So as I'm cruising along, I look over and I see another fish. This species has to be 15 inches. This is a cabezon. And so this one was probably 13, so I just wanted to come over and film him, and there he goes. They blend in really, really well. They're also one of my favorite fish to eat, so we will definitely do a future video on how to pursue and hunt cabezon. Here's Dez again. He's probably 22 feet down. This was a crystal clear day, so you can see him from the surface, but he's just hanging out now. It's not even like get down, come back up kind of a thing. Like, he's really taking his time down there, and oh, hey, yeah, actually I need to come up for a breath. Yeah, very comfortable in the water. So on another drop, I'm seeing some perch. I'm cruising along. I look down in this crack, and I can see that there is a Pacific rock scallop, but in this particular area, we're not allowed to take scallops. It's a part of a state marine conservation area, SMCA, and in this particular location we can only take finfish, so I had to leave it. But again, we'll do a future video on scallops because they are some of my absolute favorites. Just so incredibly delicious. So dropping down this time, what I really wanted to emphasize in this clip is what a perch looks like in body profile. So watch when this perch turns. That's very classic perch body shape. Here's another one, very classic perch. And then as you look off into the distance through the kelp here, you see another fish approaching. And this, when it turns, has a very different profile. That is a rockfish, and that rockfish is specifically an olive. And I was about to go for the olive, and then I looked over, and there was a grass rockfish right in front of me. So I was at the end of my breath hold. I decided to come back up. I just pretended like I didn't see it, and that is an important undersea hunting technique there. Don't just stare at them real intently. They'll get scared and they'll spook because they see you as a predator. Pretend like you don't even care and very casually move away from them, get your breath, and come back. And here I'm using kelp in between me and the fish to disguise my approach, and there's two grassies down here. So I line up on one and get my shot. And again, that trend, I'm grabbing the spear tip on the opposite side of the fish. So finally I was like, you know what, we've done well, we've got our fish. I'm just going to bungee my pole spear back on, pack it on up, and kick in. And so here's our catch, my rockfish on the bottom, Dez's perch on the top, and quite a good day. So I hope I've proven to you at this point that those inexpensive $40 yellow fiberglass pole spears from Amazon or wherever you pick them up are totally worth the money.
Additionally, I want to take just a moment and really talk about FREEDIVE suits. If somebody was going to ask me, hey, how do I get into fishing? One of the first things I would say is, well, you need to get a fishing license. Then I'd say you need to know that where you're fishing is legal. And then I'd say you need a good rod and reel setup. So a lot of people, when they want to get into spearfishing, one of the first things that they think you need is some kind of a spear. Well, really, the very first thing that you should invest in if you're going to buy gear is a good wetsuit. Sounds crazy, right? It's like telling a hook and line angler that don't buy the rod and reel first, go get your waders first. But for freedive spearfishing, I cannot emphasize enough a good quality suit. So this suit is made by Elios. I don't do a lot of gear reviews on my channel. When I do, it's always gear that I have tried and tested. Sometimes gear that I can't stand, sometimes gear that I love. I've been rocking Elios wetsuits now for 17 years. I realized that this morning. I love these wetsuits like no other. So, there's a ton of different freedive suits that you could get. You could go buy an off-the-rack suit, a number of different companies, and they make good quality products. But I'm 6'6", which means I'm in the 99th percentile for height in the world. And that means my body shape is not average. And that also means it's really hard for me to find a suit that's off the rack that will actually fit or even sort of fit. Elios makes custom suits. So there's no extra pockets in here that are filling up with water, creating cold spots against my body. Instead, it is form fit. You send them your measurements, and I'll put a link in the description to show you how that's done. It's real easy. They have a series of measurements, and they show you exactly where to take them. They even have YouTube videos to show you where to take those measurements. If you're not comfortable doing it on your own, you can bring it to a tailor. And I think I spent like 20 bucks, gave it to the tailor, and they took measurements the first time that I did it. Since then, anytime I get a new suit, I just take my own measurements. It's super easy. Send it in, tell them what kind of camo print you want, tell them what kind of exterior you want. So I've got a nice green camouflage. I'll put all the specs down here. This has a nylon exterior, so it makes it tough. So if it rubs up against rocks, the inside is open cell. These are low density, and a result of that low density, they're extremely flexible compared to a scuba suit. Honestly, I put this on, I jump in the water, and I forget I'm even wearing a wetsuit. Open cell versus closed cell. To make the neoprene for a suit, they pour it all out, and then they slice those sheets of neoprene through the middle. And all these little air bubbles that were formed in the neoprene get cut in half, and they become little suction cups, micro suction cups, open cells. Those stick all over your body, all throughout these open cell suits, and that creates a buffer, which creates a warmer suit. The one disadvantage with an open cell suit is you have to lubricate it. First time I tried that, I was like, I don't know about this, but trust me when I say it is 100% worth it. All you gotta do is get a little soapy water, a little bit of hair conditioner and water, you put it in there, rub it all around, make sure you coat everything inside, and it slips right on. I love these suits, I swear by these suits. So you can also buy them off the rack rather than a custom suit. The only other disadvantage to going with custom is it takes a little while. But let's be honest, if you're watching this video and you're thinking about getting into it, you probably have a month that you could just hang out and wait for a suit that is form fit, perfect to your specifications. Oh, son of a gun. That is a serious super burrito right there.
Did all right, Kevin. Not a bad way to do it.
Dude. And Dez's first time spearfishing. How many fish did you get today?
4 perch and 1 rock cod. Deep in the cave? Not really, but...
It was like 50 feet back in this cave.
I almost died, dude.
Yeah, like 5
Crazy.
times.
The tide just swept me in. I didn't think I was going to get out, but I found the other end.
And we got burritos to show for it. Such a strange idea, but... Because I usually do tacos, but man, that's hitting the spot. This was Dez's very first time spearfishing. What'd you think?
Yeah, it was amazing. Thank you.
Yeah?
Yeah. Beautiful conditions.
Yeah.
First time like actually be able to get down.
Oh yeah, so we came out here like, what, like 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, 2 weeks ago today.
And Dez was like this much underweight, and so he's on the surface, I'm down below spearfishing, and he's just watching like, you know, it was perfect conditions.
Super frustrating.
Calm as it could be. Basically frustrated all day.
Uh-huh.
So this was, I don't know, round 2?
Round 2, maybe round 1. I don't know. It depends how you look at it.
It's round 1. So this is the first time he's properly weighted. And so we got him properly weighted, got out there, and what'd you think? I mean, was it easy enough getting down? And...
Yeah, it took me a few reps to get the duck dive and actually be able to like efficiently get underwater. But other than that, like, yeah, it was like started to feel more and more intuitive, and I was actually able to get down and like get some fish. So
get
properly weighted. Yeah, that's probably a good first step.
You're clearing. Do you have any issues with anything like that?
Maybe like a little bit when I was down like 15-20 feet. It took me like a little bit of just hovering at the same like depth to like properly clear my ears. But other than that, no, I was a little worried because I had like inner ear issue earlier this year, and it was fine. Yeah,
that's good. That's good.
Kevin's got the right recommendations.
Thanks, buddy.
I call him doctor.
That's right. That's why they give me the PhD. You know, this is your first time, so is there anything that came up that you would think that you'd want to recommend to somebody that you kind of wish you had known before getting in the water? Anything like that?
Probably like get a good night's sleep, drink more water, help with your stamina and your calf not cramping up. Other than that, I don't know. It's kind of a trial by error. There's a learning curve. You got to figure it out as you go.
I'm gonna add to that water thing. Don't drink too much caffeine. A lot of people tell me like, "Oh, I'm just gonna drink a Monster and then come on
I
out."
mostly had coffee this morning.
Yeah, see,
it was mostly coffee.
So, coffee.
And I knew better too. Like I've been told that, and
He's
I did
been
it
reading
anyways.
up on it.
Yeah.
And, Coffee will dehydrate you, but coffee will also speed up your heart rate, and so it can actually, and same with your Monsters and all that stuff. It'll speed up your heart rate, and so it makes it so it's very difficult to calm down to get a good breath. And even when you do have a full breath and you dive down, your heart is racing, so you're burning your oxygen, and it'll kill your bottom time.
My bottom time and my recovery when I came back up, it was taking me longer than I thought it should have to like actually relax again and be able to dive. So
more water, less coffee.
yeah, some more sleep.
I don't know. I was impressed. He was getting down, and you got what, like 5 fish?
5 fish, yeah. I'll let a few of them go. You know.
Yeah.
Once you get the first few, you can start being more picky.
Okay, now he's getting cocky.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for joining me,
Thank
Des.
you, dude. Yeah, that's so much fun.
I'm gonna start taking Des out, like I think just again and again and again, and we're gonna. So this is like spearfishing, day one, and then we'll just take him along the progression. So he got perch, he got his first rockfish. We'll get him into some schooling rockfish, some cabezon, take him on to lingcod, etc. And so all of you can come along with us, and you can see what it's actually like, that progression.
I'll take it.
Me too. He's a good guy.
Hey, this guy too.
All right, folks. Thank you for watching, and until next time, keep the old ways alive.
As we continue this series on Introduction to Spearfishing and Freediving California, I'll be teamed up with Des once again to go freediving for purple sea urchin. But first, I'm headed out to the Eastern Sierra for a bit of foraging and some of the best trout fishing in the state.
Oh man, my legs are so sore.